Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another special episode of Under de la Radar on Francais. This is the French edition. Nous
C'est la vie.
parlons français pour le podcast.
Save the Maginot Land.
Anyway, so we've got a super duper episode planned today. I'm going to be answering an email from Blue Venom, and then Hater and Roids are going to be talking about sort of back and forth different things. Roid's going to talk about the issue of lock-on scaling, and Hater's going to talk specifically about the sort of attitude of Reddit side lately. And that's going to be fun and juicy. We're basically going to call Reddit side out on it. Shit. But I'm going to start off light with my topic and just answer an email from Blue Venom. It is actually pretty good advice and not something we've talked about too much over the course of the podcast. So without further ado. Hello. I'd like to start by saying my in-game name is Blue Venom and I fly Connery NC. Now, my first question is about hover fighting. I know you covered how to take on lock-on gank squads last time, but I'd like to ask you guys how you go about fighting someone of higher skill than you. I know Hater might not have this problem, but I do. People like Hexical, Ganstrom, Ironroids, and Scanner always seem to beat me. How should I go about hover fighting them if I know it's them or someone else more skilled than me? Is there some tips or tricks I could use? Or will I have to suck it up and keep getting angry about being taken out with no problem until I've put 3 million hours into my Reaver? I would also like to know, is there anyone I can ask about how to get better in general? Great podcast. I would like to I hope you guys continue to do what you were doing for a long time, gay jokes and all. Thank you, Blue Venom.
You're so fabulous, Venom. Oh my goodness.
So fabulous. And we will try to skull fuck my paper mache skull as much as possible.
Once a week at most, though.
Yeah.
In moderation.
It went from the drag club to 4chan in like an instant.
I know, right? Anyway, so how to fight an ace? Well, I think everyone sort of at least remembers having this issue because we all sucked at one point, even if we're all amazing now. And I mean, I have this problem now. Truth be told, even when you are a really good pilot, you still have to be watching out for usernames because even if you can barely kill someone, if there's like a infantry unit on the ground that notices you fighting and puts in those extra couple of bullets from his SMG, that can make the difference. Even something that small. And if, another ESF happens to show up or something, there's a million things that could go wrong when you're stuck in a hover fight with someone. So, no matter what, dealing with a good pilot is always going to be something that's challenging. Do you guys, starting off, do you guys have any sort of knee-jerk responses to this?
My knee-jerking response, like anytime I used to fight anyone that I think is better than me at the moment or, is warmed up more or whatever, I try and think about like hit points and trying to get him in the most disadvantageous position possible. So I'm kind of a ganker by nature where that I'm not as comfortable or confident against. If we had straight up HP, I will try and essentially approach them from an angle, usually using friendlies or just him being distracted by something as my window of opportunity to take out as much hit points as possible before it moving into a hover fight, where then I try to turn it into a hit point trading contest because I have the more HP at that point.
Well, I mean, this goes off what you're saying pretty much, but everyone's heard me say this millions of times before, but that's because it's super important and is never going to be irrelevant, and that's situational awareness. Like if I ever fought Argitar, my best bet against him was always to do what I could before he saw me, or just prepare the best I could because Argitar was gonna do better in any hover fight than I would. I knew that, and so my best defense was to know where he was before he knew where I was, or at the very least know where he was so I could avoid him if he knew where I was first. So the start of everything, it's always going to be your situational awareness and knowing where the threat is and how to combat that. Whether it's how you're going to aggressively combat that and like try to take them out first, you know, like Rhodes is talking about, or play defensively and stay away from them because you know where they're at. No matter what, though, that's just what it comes down to. How aware are you?
True. And I would, if you're having any special trouble with someone, like you notice the username of someone that is really dangerous and you want to try to stay at the fight that you're in, I would go off on what Royd said. I would even go so far as to sit at flight ceiling and just wait for them to overextend. And once they are really distracted or tunnel visioning someone that's running away from them, try to jump in and do as much as you can. And if you're not happy with the job you did, maybe there's some armor nearby that you can afterburner to at that point. Or at that point, just turn it into a hover duel and duel as best you can. I wouldn't really ever recommend trying to, like, having the mentality in a hover duel of I need to trade damage right now. Because really, even when you're trying to be evasive, you're trading damage. If you try to trade damage, generally you will just allow yourself to get shot a lot, to shoot them not a lot.
If you've got that mentality, I feel, of just trading damage, then you're not taking into consideration so many other factors that really should be present or imminent to be present, you know? AA in the area, other pilots in the area, the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they all sound like little things, but those can change a fight in 1 second.
Ground OP, nerf ground, entries.
Nerf collision.
And debris.
Oh yeah, debris. Fuck debris.
God.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in a sense we all agree on that. Just my definition of trading damage would be just start hover fighting and do your absolute best to outplay him, and you will end up doing the sort of damage trading that Royds was talking about just on its own. Just don't have the mentality of I need to do as much damage as I can to this guy. I've got a lot of health. Just fight it out and do your best. If you're in a Reaver and they're in a Scythe, like Roids or Hexical, do your best to get close to them during the hover fight. Try to mirror their reverse thrusts. If they reverse thrust left, then also reverse thrust left. And you'll both sort of move in a circle, in an arc towards each other. Or I guess they would be reverse thrusting to their right, and you would be reverse thrusting to your left. But you know what I mean. In the same direction. And there are a couple of little things you can do to try to close distance in a Reaver against good pilots, and especially if you're running a Vortec, that is how you do it.
Need to play, really.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
basically.
Another tip is pay attention to their afterburners. Even if they're not carrying afterburner pods, assume that they have full fuel, and then try and react when they react. Force them to move before you move, because that gives you initiative, because ideally you'll have more fuel than them. And that gives you the chance to either close distance, create distance, or whatever. But however, if you are taking too much damage, you will need to move first, and generally that's your first disadvantage in a fight. So always try and get initial alpha damage in, because that starts what am I thinking of the word? It just kind of starts not steamrolling. Completely blanking right now. Derp.
I would try to finish your sentence, but I'm not sure what you mean.
Domino effect. It starts the domino effect of where you took damage first, so therefore you have to expend fuel in order to avoid damage. Therefore he still has fuel and hasn't taken enough damage, and so on and so forth. So generally you want to be the first guy to get in damage, so you make the enemy move, and so you keep multiple advantages of hit points and fuel. And you try and keep that going.
And what does that come down to? Situational awareness for getting the jump on someone before they get the jump on you.
Da-ding, da-ding, da-ding.
This is why ganking happens, because good pilots know if they get the jump on you and get that first bit of damage in, they're gonna have a huge advantage going into the fight. So yeah, of course they're gonna do it.
Yeah, also hinging off something Ginger said, like waiting for a pilot to overextend. If you see an ally in trouble and he's about at half healthish, and you're at flight ceiling, that's about your time to dive on that ace pilot, because generally an ace pilot will stick it out to kill that one target before turning on you, unless he's really, present about keeping his hit points. Generally, he doesn't give the respect necessary to other targets when trying to finish one. So sometimes you can take advantage of that aggressiveness and finish him that way before your ally, bites the dust, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a wingman is also a good solution, aside from just ganking, but getting more friends on your team will generally solve most problems that you could possibly have in the air, so. Being solo, I would just definitely recommend trying to get the best gank, the most alpha strike you can, and then just stay focused in the duel. It's possible if it's a really good pilot, you can lose your nerve in the duel too, and mess up. Try not to do that. Just stay focused on it, get the kill, and be on your way.
Yes. Always be aware of flight ceiling and the ground, of course, because the flight ceiling is probably, I'd honestly say it's more dangerous than the ground, because the ground, at least you died. You know your mistake. With flight ceiling, you just kind of get stuck in a stall for 2.5 seconds and then get gimped. So stay away from that.
All right. Well, I think that about covers it.
Hopefully that helps.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Blue Venom, for your email. I will do the email plug now. Email us at utrpodcast@gmail.com with any questions or discussion ideas you might have. And we will all look at them before we start recording a podcast. And if we feel passionate about one of them, we'll start discussing it. Generally. Also, in addition to that, I will always email you back with the best answer that I can to your question or the best discussion I can to your idea. If you feel any particular way about an issue in flight, email us with your thoughts, and you will get something out of it all the time.
Yes.
So thank you, Blue Venom.
And what we want to talk about, yes, send us topics. Not necessarily questions, but topic ideas. Because we haven't really seen much of that, to be honest.
Yeah, we have been answering a lot of questions thus far, so if you have, like, hey guys, you should talk about this, let us know that as well.
Yes.
Woo-woo.
utrpodcast@gmail.com.
Do we want to get into Reddit? Oh, it's my turn. Lock on. Okay, so
I feel like it's a good transition to haters.
Honestly, Royds, I think we'll kind of go back and forth almost between our two topics, so I say we start with the Reddit thread and get kind of that set up.
Okay, and then we'll tee off on the lock-ons. Alrighty.
Lock-ons are a part of it. Alright, so this is actually the first time this has happened for me, at least that I can remember, where a controversial Reddit thread is happening as we're recording the podcast. It's like live action feed from the front lines of PlanetSide. But right now, there's a thread on top page of Reddit. It's very controversial. Hundreds of comments. It's reactions from pro pilots towards air-to-air missiles. I don't think I'll read the whole thing, but the main point brought up was how, the elite ESF pilots are just completely bitchy about air-to-air missiles and dishonorable fighting. And you've heard this spiel before, I'm pretty sure. I know we've talked about it on very old podcast episodes last year, so it's not really a new topic, but it's still prominent. Is I guess what we're addressing here is its prominence and how it hasn't really got away. And we're obviously all pilots here, duh, and or hello. But we want to try to play devil's advocate on a little bit of it and not just go in and agree on all the hardcore pilot shit and say, fuck you, ground peasants, you're bad. Even though that's true.
Bad.
All bad. So, I don't know, I'm trying to find, a good counterpoint to go, like a devil's advocate point to go off of reading this thread. I guess a good starting point is, just the attitudes people say that the elite pilots have and how they're so willing to even switch teams and TK them and shit like that, because you used air-to-air locks or something that they don't like. I guess I'll start. How often do you guys even see that happening? Whether it's against you or it's someone you're flying with, or you just got it in a third-person perspective,
Aces switching teams to TK lock-on users?
Yes.
I've had Virtue do it to me. That's what he's known for, but
I
Remember
remember
that
Penguin do
incident.
it to me before.
I've had a few do it to me. Generally, they've killed me as infantry, so I've never had to lose my sight to someone raging. Which I guess I've been lucky so far. But I know of other ace pilots who will specifically target more Zergy gank squads kind of thing because they
Yeah.
completely ruined their experience of flying and trying to, run air-to-air interference just because there's some monolithic death ball just filled with lock-ons. It's not even just
Yeah.
nose guns at this point, and they'll switch to the other faction just to try and get back at them. Because
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what SOE gets for creating multi-faction characters on the same server.
I know, right? If only
Yeah.
they didn't do any server merges.
my outfit leader, Pink Floyd, actually got banned from going on to VS and team killing Don Alfredo. But I mean, it's not the right answer to the problem, but I can see where, like, obviously you can't do anything about V4S right now. And so that's like the only way you can really give your middle finger to them.
Unfortunately, at this point, when they're running their massive squad, NC and TR kind of have to gang up on the VS Air Force. It's just at that point.
But I mean, there's no real way to do that in the game. I mean, I saw one point where Ganstrom just said fuck it and started having everyone in his outfit call on all their friends, and everyone got on TR and shut them down. But like that kind of thing can't always happen, and you're not just going to see Reavers and Mosquitoes, Zerg pilots just going up against VS.
No, I completely agree, but it's not much. Anyways, back to the Reddit thread, the Reddit war room. Got our little tinfoil caps on.
Hooray.
Hooray! A lot of the complaining, at least I know from ace pilots, are because, well, this will hinge into my topic a bit later, and we'll get into that more. But lock-ons are honestly quite broken. Like, coyotes are the least of my problems at this point. Like, tomcats are such a guaranteed alpha damage weapon. Oh, Blue Venom, if you really want to shoot down ace pilots, grab an air-to-air missile and insta-give half his health instantly, and then just stay at render range and, give the other half of his health in the next one. If he has flares, it'll take 3. If he's got fire suppression, it'll take 3.
If he has flares, it'll just go right through the flares, because flares don't work against ADAs.
Right.
Working as intended.
Yep.
I don't know.
Well, I got a good comment to go off of that, Roids. It's actually
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, it's actually from Argatar. And I know I've said something like this in the past. Maybe it wasn't on the podcast, but maybe it was one of my essays. But okay, this is what Argatar said: lock-ons are used in real life because planes go at Mach 2 and above. Honda Civics go faster than ESFs, and that's the double-edged sword. But focusing mainly on what he's talking about, he's right. If you just go play any other game with real planes that go actually fast, speed is a huge factor in how dogfights play out, and especially how missiles play out. And I'm just going to use what I've always used as an example: the Ace Combat games. You're flying real planes, modern planes and shit, and they're going at their regular speeds, and using missiles, it's like expected and pretty much required. Like, there were certain types of missiles people hated, but the very basic missile that everybody had and everyone had to use, if you were good at using that missile, you were considered pretty skilled. People, they knew you were skilled if you were good with guns, but no one was really good with guns because you're just moving way too fucking fast for that to matter as a consistent weapon that you can always use and, wave your dick around about being good with. No one really cared. And that all hinges off the fact that these planes are moving real fucking fast, and that's just how dogfights play out because of that. So PlanetSide's different because these planes are really fucking slow in comparison. And so when you add missiles, which are something kind of more meant for making dogfights easier in a much faster paced environment, that's where we're seeing the problems, and that's where we're seeing people, good pilots get pissed off at missiles for, ruining their fun.
Well, yeah, God forbid you don't have any afterburner fuel, because I run Racer and full afterburner tanks, and if I get locked on from pretty much any distance and I run away in a straight line away from that lock on, 50-50 chance at full afterburner fuel with a full racer frame going nearly 370 clicks, that lock on is still going to hit me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues with lock-ons right now is because they're so fast. It's like instantaneous hit scan almost, and you can't dodge them in any shape or form. Very rarely can you get them to crash into terrain reliably. So angry.
So angry.
But on the flip side of that, yes, new pilots getting into the game do need ways to defend themselves with guaranteed damage weapons, but the problem with the guaranteed damage weapons right now with lock-ons is that they're powerful enough for one man to use and be an effective, dangerous force. Except they're so much more powerful in the hands of someone that knows what they're doing with a guaranteed damage weapon. BakeQ, Matty Ace have covered it just in detail of how filthily overpowered Tomcats are in a hover duel, because you can literally just sit there and all you have to do is evasion and then just kind of look in the general direction of the enemy and they will die in 3 missiles.
Yeah.
Going off on that, I was actually watching an old UTR podcast because I'm weird. And I remember hearing someone, either Roids or Haters, say the Tomcats were a new weapon. And I said, no, they're not, because really they're great in the hands of newbies to help them get acquainted in the game. But in the hands of an ace who's actually willing to use one, they will just wreck. And I mean, you don't see aces do that because they don't like to do that because it's too easy and not fun. But it's not that it's a newbie crutch weapon, it's just overpowered as shit. No matter who uses them, it gives them a huge boost to everything.
Yeah, and I mean, I experienced this on my, quest for the Tomcat Araxium, to get all my Araxiums and shit. And I mean, I don't have the best aim ever, but I have good enough aim to use Tomcats a little bit better than just someone who just started off. And I was usually pretty good at keeping the lock on target even when they were really close, which is actually the hardest point to maintain the lock with the Tomcats is the closer they are, because they're moving faster across more of your screen. Mm-hmm. And usually I was able to use it pretty well in extreme close ranges, and it's that guaranteed damage weapon. I can use that at extreme close range, and then I switch to my nose gun and they're dead pretty freaking quickly. And I think I still have it on my Twitch account. I'm not sure, but there was a clip I had where I fought about 7 Reavers or so in a row. They just came at me one after another, and I just would hit one with a Tomcat, usually pretty up close, and then finish them off with a nose gun, and then they just kept coming, and I took them all out. I only stopped because I ran out of ammo. So, just an example.
Higby Prees. I would like to see the damage scaled down on them, honestly. Like maybe 20%, like the equivalent of 1 striker bullet. Bullet's the wrong word. 1 striker missile, not the whole salvo. But at this point, as soon as you get 2 or 3 guys with lock-ons in a mix, working on focusing targets, like we have on Connery now with the VS with V4S, it's just game over instantly. Like even if you have flares, so what? You bought yourselves 10 seconds, and they can keep pace with you for those 10 seconds. And then they fire, look at you for a little bit, and then you blow up in the distance. Nobody enjoys that.
I'm going to sort of go into something a tiny bit different. One thing, maybe we should have talked about Hater's topic first, because we are talking more about air-to-air balance, but I think the one person might be seeing this and thinking, well, these are aces complaining about Tomcats. I would like to actually shift gears at least briefly and talk a little bit about the attitude of PlanetSide right now that has been seen in that topic as well as other ones. Really, personally, it's been really discouraging for me because I've been trying to make videos, and even with Under the Radar, when we started this podcast, it was so that everyone in the sort of PlanetSide and air community could have a clarity on major issues. And so when you see people who just hate aces without really presenting any sort of reason, it's discouraging for me to see. And the attitude you see on PlanetSide right now is that a lot of infantry players that I've seen, or just Redditors, have been saying, pilots are the most toxic community I've ever seen, or aces are butthurt about this and that, and really just, I would go so far, generalizing, and I would go so far as to say almost dehumanizing stigma against aces. Like, they're these sort of, just by understanding how ESFs work and liking to fly, you immediately become this sort of elitist asshole.
Not only that though, but I mean, I feel like most people who are saying these things, they don't. I don't think there's that many people out there who actually, like, that many pilots out there that fit this elitist criteria that people are, saying that they do, and like maybe they had one or two bad experiences like this in the past, and then they're using that as their normal for what all pilots are like forever and onward.
Exactly.
Because I mean, obviously, as a pilot, a career pilot, I have a different perspective, but I have never, except for like Emperor Penguin and maybe one or two other people who always gave me shit, and that was like they usually gave me shit, so I just expected it. I never had random people calling me out on shit, regardless of what exactly it was. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel it's not an ongoing thing. It's people who had one or two bad experiences a while ago, and they just think that's what it is now still.
Mm-hmm. And another potential cause, that is a huge one, and another cause I think is just because getting killed by an ESF, whether you're in an ESF or on the ground, is generally a frustrating experience. Getting killed by one in the air, if it's an ace, is frustrating, and getting killed in general on the ground is frustrating too. Really, I just think that it's due to unrelated factors. You can't look at a lot of members of the piloting community and match them up to that stereotype. Maybe me in some ways. I tend to be the more out there member of this podcast, and I can be a little bit of a dick sometimes. But really, the type of comments I see on Reddit side, I don't feel like I can identify anyone who's like that, and just these elitist douchebags. Really, it sucks, because you, as an ace, most aces want normal, like, players to sort of experience hover fighting and experience the air game the same way they are, in order to not share their perspective for the way that they're arguing, but in the same sort of philosophy as you've just played this really cool game, so you want to show it to your friends. Like, that's the most frustrating thing about about being an ace, is that after going through and learning the pain in the ass of the reverse maneuver, you get to learn this really cool new range of motion in an ESF, and learn that, hey, this is technically a bug, but this is a really cool flight model. You want people to understand that this is really something awesome. And then you go on Reddit side and you're getting generalized because you're a minority, because so few people are doing it.
Well, I think it all started back on SOE forums. They removed the vehicle forms. I don't know, infantry side is one at this point, and that's where, honestly, I get most of my fun on PlanetSide right now, is leading infantry. It's just more reliable, it's easier to do, and you can combat any vehicle almost instantaneously with the tools you have in pretty much any class. Like, there's nothing 6 heavies can't take down instantly. It's frightening. But along with that, I don't know, infantry have gotten what they wanted, except for the flak nerf back when 1 AA max, you could set it on some random mountain and you could gib ESFs at render range. Those were fun times.
Loved them.
Oh my god. So glad that doesn't happen now. But yeah, they've gotten what they wanted. And I don't know, not much has changed for vehicles other than they keep adding more for people to just drop certs into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's sort of like this topic is giving me the opportunity to vent about sort of the annoying crap I've been seeing over the past few days. One of the main things I want to see happen in PlanetSide is allow more entry into the sort of hover fighting air game, so that more people can understand where people who would be considered aces are coming from. They can sort of see it themselves. And also for ESF deaths to be less frustrating in general. I made a video recently that might be worth checking out that offered sort of 2 ideas involving the scaling of fights. And like that's just sort of a general topic I'm going for, where air can be a little bit more incorporated into the game, and it can be worked in a way that it needs a rework in a way that would solve a lot of the problems, but it's hard to get to that when the mentality is just blatant, unfounded hatred of pilots, which I don't even understand how that could even happen. Like, why is that? It's actually from nothing. And V4S actually is just getting a kick. The reason why they're doing it, I mean, it's a skillless thing. It's just finding Nemoing onto pilots. But the thing that's giving them a kick is that they're frustrating aces, that they're preventing aces from playing their game, which is hugely toxic and negative in and of itself. Like, it just frustrates me to no end that even happens.
Well, it all started when aircraft were overpowered at launch, because at that point you could just like look at someone with a rocket pod and kill them with one, and that was terrible balancing. And then like 7 nerfs later, we are here at this point where ESFs and air to ground really don't have a huge influence, other than the Galaxy with the Bulldog, which is like your best air to ground possible, except against vehicles.
Yeah. Well, I think we should go on a roids topic, but I guess I got kind of a thing to wrap this little bit up, because I mean we could go on about this topic a long time if we wanted. I'm sure Ginger would have a lot to say.
I could fucking start raging. I really could, but I won't.
I think before you wrap it up, haters, like you gotta walk a mile in the other guy's shoes and try and do what aces do and try and do what infantry do, and like experience the whole game for what it is and see the way it interacts with each other. Yeah, you can't just pass judgment because you pulled an ESF in time, also grabbing lock-ons and said this was the easiest thing ever, but they're dumb and stupid, when you're blatantly using broken mechanics and abusing situations. And that's what I feel a lot of Reddit side is doing right now, especially on that one particular thread that's just like, oh, it makes me cringe. What do you do?
Yeah.
In fact, I would go so far as to say if you're someone who sort of agrees with the type of Reddit side member that we've been talking about, maybe you feel the need to downvote this podcast on Reddit, or you don't totally agree with us, and you don't know the reverse maneuver, please email me or send me a message in game. I would love to teach it to you, because I want to make sure that I really truly believe that if more people sort of understood why Aces found the game fun, and the mechanic that we explore, people actually had a two-sided opinion, then we could actually have less bullshit arguing and more actually solving problems.
Yeah, and going off that, I'd say email us about if you've got that perspective, that because I mean, us as 3 pilots, we try to give the devil's advocate view and all that stuff, but I mean, maybe we fall short due to time or just we're missing topics. But send us some email questions about that, or if you feel really confident, come on or ask to come on as a guest and argue this shit with us. We love to argue.
Mm-hmm.
That'll help drive the discussion, get both sides of the view.
So, okay, Hater, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll wrap this up. I kind of wanted to talk about just the fact that why pilots do kind of feel elitist, and not that it's right or wrong or anything, but why it comes up is kind of expected. I was going to kind of use an example. He's one of my best friends from my graduating flight in basic training now, but he's in school now to be a crew chief, probably on a fighter jet. And for anyone who doesn't know, crew chief is basically the guy who's in charge of the maintenance of that aircraft. So it's a pretty important job. And his overall goal is to become a pilot of that aircraft. And I mean, he's working on his college degree is almost done. He's going for crew chief, and he's gonna go for pilot as soon as he can. And when you think about it, I mean, he's going for pilot, and he's gonna have all that experience working on the plane, knowing every little bit about his plane and just all that, and then to go and fly it. Whereas if I went to be an actual pilot too, I would be at a disadvantage compared to him because he's got the crew chief experience. So it's just one of those things that I would say demonstrates all the work that really goes into understanding flying and your plane and all that. And it doesn't translate exactly the same way into a game like PlanetSide, but for the most part, I mean, it's kind of a parallel. Pilots in PlanetSide have put a lot of work into becoming better and understanding how everything works. And it's very rewarding when you feel, you've kind of climbed to the top of all that. And so when people who have not gone on down that same road are getting pissed off at you because you're doing so much better and you do things this way because you know it's the right way or whatever, then yeah, you're going to get kind of pissed off. And I mean, to an extent, it's justified. But on the other side of that coin, there are people out there who are complete dicks and just elitist pricks about it all. And those are the kind of bad people that I wish weren't around, but unfortunately they are around, so we have to deal with them, and they give all pilots a bad name because of it.
But hey,
this has always been around, so
there are going to be assholes no matter what you're doing. There's nothing about becoming an ace that breeds or attracts assholes. Like, infantry has assholes too. There are going to be a couple of dicks in the air as well.
Zaps. But that's just how it is, and I think, like Ginger said, there's assholes who are infantry players too. I think why it's more prominent with pilots is because the pilot community is overall just smaller, and if you've got like 10 infantry players out of 1,000 who are dicks, you might not see them all that much. But if you've got 10 out of 100 pilots who are dicks, you have a better chance of kind of running into them and having that bad experience with them. So, anyways, that's my little sort of conclusion / transition. And Ginger, you're going to have to just edit this part if Royds just went AFK.
Okay.
Because he was supposed to go after that, but yeah.
Oh,
break time.
Yeah, break time. Yeah, I'm not going to do an outro. I actually was going to go AFK and get some water too.
All right.
I'm gonna make a loud noise into the mic so I can save this. So cover your ears.
I'll just sit here and masturbate.
Now we'll find it in editing.
Nice.
All right, be right back.
Okay, sorry, back. Oh my god. Emergencies.
we took a short break. Ginger's getting some water.
Okay, good.
But basically, I ended with my little story, so when we start, you can just start with your topic pretty much however you want.
Sweet.
I'm back.
Yay, we're all here.
Okay, just us. Damn it. This has been really good so far, though. I'm glad we all wanted to talk about this.
Yeah, this has been I like this podcast, yes?
This is very nice. This is very nice.
Oh, Rhodes is back. All right.
Yes.
So that was a 3-minute break, so not much time.
Okay. Royds, just go ahead and say something like, all right, I'm going to transition into my topic now, and then go.
Yeah, okay, let me...
Do like
In
a 5-second
10.
silence so he can, yeah.
Okay, in 5 seconds. Yeah, Hater, that was a good way to put it. Just so, basically, guys, don't be an asshole. In anything in life, it will never get you anywhere, really. Try and be nice and open and give constructive feedback on the Reddits.
Fuck
don't
the
wanna
system,
go out-
anarchy forever.
We don't need the roof. Let the motherfucker burn. The roof is on fire.
All right.
Okay.
So now
Okay.
that my sort of sidetracking of haters topic is done, let's move on to some actual mechanics discussion and hopefully get some.
Yay.
Now that we've qualified ourselves a little bit more.
So yeah, what I want to talk about is just lock-ons and lock-on scalings and possible ways to make it more friendly without, completely removing lock-ons from the game and forcing people to do the high skill cap build. So I guess essentially what I would like to see is the damage lowered. So the damage potential for effort put in is actually matches up more or less. So I would like to see about 5 or 6 lock-ons kill in ESF, like air-to-air lock-ons. I think the ground-to-air balance of lock-ons is actually okay because in ESF farming a small fight is an issue, and a couple of guys need to be able to deal with that while on the fly while fighting their own element. So I think 2 or 3 lock-ons from the ground to kill an ESF, I think that's actually quite balanced. And if you're sitting in a place hovering that long to get gibbed by that many lock-ons, well, that's your own fault. As a pilot, you should have a responsibility to be situationally aware.
Oh, take notes, people.
Where those possible threats could be, and you get a little warning usually. Sometimes client side will get you where you get instantly locked and then you just blow up in a bit of dust. It's frustrating, but you should learn from that and approach from different angles. However, the air-to-air situation is different because the guy toting the lock-on can follow you around. And that's where the huge no fun thing is, because especially if you start into lock-on range, the guy sits at you from 500 meters away and you see this missile whizzing at you that you can't possibly dodge, except on Hassan, because you can break line of sight. Thank you, Hassan. I love you.
Even on Hassan, though, the plateaus aren't that steep. Like, maybe a lucky tree branch, but I think Amrish is a little bit easier, to be honest.
I think it'd be certain areas of Amrish, like around the biolabs, are really good. Other places, not so much. Like, God forbid you're running down the ascent and you don't have an opportunity to find cover. Like that whole Bastion Valley, like you're just fucked if you get locked onto.
Valleys in general are just no-fly zones.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to fly out of the valley to get anywhere. Anyway, I'm sidetracking, sorry.
No, it's all good. I don't think a random, like some people have suggested a random number generator where like something misfires or something. I don't think anyone will enjoy that, the user nor the guy getting locked onto, because both are freaking out and then both get mad.
Random chance shouldn't be a part of this.
Yeah, it should be a guaranteed the missile fires, the missile will hit. But I think if we're going to balance it in the current state of PlanetSide, I think you either need to put it in so lock-ons are much slower and dodgeable, so they can only go the speed of like 300 meters per second, so you can afterburner away from them effectively, get into covers, things like that to break line of sight and the lock. Or the lock-on will guarantee hit, but it needs to have a lowered amount of damage, because currently its alpha strike is so significant that you have to immediately leave a fight, hit your fire suppression and run, and probably eat another lock-on. And if you're lucky enough to get to that stage, you're probably at your warp gate repairing, and the guy chasing you doesn't like that because he hasn't killed you, and you're not having any fun because you just spent the last minute and a half running away from a guy with a lock-on. That's a terrible, terrible experience.
And I was actually thinking of this right when we were talking about missiles in the last topic here. A way to kind of combine Tomcats and Coyotes, and I was thinking more of like a Sidewinder missile, modern day Sidewinder missile, and I was thinking maybe take the mechanics of Coyotes except for their heat seeking, but for the most part keep their fire rate and velocity and all that, and make them lock on like Tomcats. So that way you acquire the lock and you fire one really fast missile, so it's going to get to the target quickly. I think its range should be in between what coyotes and tomcats are now, so more of a medium range. But I mean that kind of keeps the ease of using the missile around, but doesn't make it so one missile does all that, alpha strike damage. And the other significant change would have to be that you can only fire one of those missiles per lock, but if you maintain the lock, then you can fire it. So like once you hit your target, you can fire another missile, or if it misses, you can fire another missile.
Mm. Yeah, I had another sort of idea. I mean, there are a lot of ways to do this. Just removing afterburner tanks for air-to-air wing mounts was another idea. Probably not enough on its own at this point. My idea was also to sort of waypoint the missile, slow it down, and then bring back a hover forward-facing dodge maneuver. So someone can be like, someone's locking onto me, here is the missile. All you have to do is turn towards it and maybe do something along the lines of my original dodge. Which it almost worked. It was almost perfect when my dodge like a year ago was a thing.
That was a good month.
Yeah, it was. But the idea is that you wouldn't be able to sit at render range and just fire off repeatedly, even if you did have a friend, because they could just turn and dodge yours and then go back to dogfighting. You would have to be in the thick of it. You would have to hit them before they have time to do a dodge. And that would force you to, deal with something a little bit more challenging, which is acquiring the lock at close range, and not sit at render range and use them in a cheesy way as well.
Yeah.
But that's just... Obviously, there are many ways to make tomcats less prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Well, my biggest issue is people who know how to use them, you can fire off 3 simultaneously without reacquiring the lock. That's my biggest pet peeve right now. Is because then you're just insta-gibbed, and they put no effort into that. They just had to wait for their missile to reload because they're switching between their aim, their rotary or their Needler or Mustang or whatever, back to their lock on, and then because it glitches that way, and then you can fire your next missile right away. I would just like to see the damage scale down, since that bug is in the game and they're not addressing it anytime soon, and actually make it a mechanic so you can get equal amount of alpha damage in, but at the same time you're losing most of your ammo because of that.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, however it's done, however tweaking the damage is done, I don't think is a huge deal. When you get down to the specifics, it might be, but for the most part, as long as that first missile strike isn't so effective. And as long as you can kind of get to the point where if I had just ganked this person with my nose gun at first, I would have done the same amount of damage as this missile, Like, and no matter how I approached it with whatever weapon, I would have taken them by surprise and done the same amount of damage no matter what. I think that if you can get it to kind of that level, that it's more balanced, maybe not perfectly, but more balanced.
That might be a good solution. Have if the average nose gun user has 25% damage, 25% hits from his nose gun, how much damage is that as correlated to a lock-on missile kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah.
I wouldn't mind that too much.
What about I guess the scaling in terms of when you have the gank squads of them, though?
That's where I'd like to see a lot of reduced damage. So, like, my comment earlier about how 6 heavies can kill anything on the battlefield almost instantaneously, as long as they hit all the rockets, that is. Just sheer alpha strike capability. I'd like to see that, where if you're going to run a gank squad, you have to run, 6 lock-on ESFs on one target for a set amount of time in order to get that alpha strike damage to kill that guy.
I would take that a step further and say, I'm not sure if I've talked about the issues of gank squads to complete end. I think I have in this podcast, but gank squads in general are a problem because they're roaming the entire continent. So rather than making one fight impossible to do anything in, they're making the most active continent in the server impossible to do anything in. If they're successful to the same extent that, like, the 40 Deuce or Vanu Air Service is, I've actually described it as an airborne DDoSing, because you actually can't fly. You can either fly on the dead continent and then log off because you're bored, or you can go into the roaming continent and die immediately. And most gank squads will go to third faction fights, and V4S, which is the most notorious one right now, will just roam the continent at flight ceiling and kill everyone that they can. And they have a greater render distance than me too. Fun fact. But gank squads in general, I would rather there's more incentive to stick to a fight and help your team win the same way you would as infantry and armor, rather than just trying to gank individually SFs one at a time.
I think that rolls into greater base design and greater game design overall, because the way they've handled air lately is air doesn't have a lot of objectives over infantry based.
No, yeah,
combat.
absolutely.
Like
it's not something that would be a small change, like an ESF update. I mean, Day Carey on Zoran's interview has actually said that trying to do a class update or a thing update over the course of a month always ends up being overwhelming. It would need to be a major change, but it's one that needs to happen because air needs to, it's a combined arms game. Air needs to matter. Air needs to be able to go to a consistent fight, and it needs to want to go to the consistent fight rather than just roaming around.
Well, I have two solutions. One is something we can do now, and one is a simple change that I really wish they would do. But the simple change that SOE needs to do is allow planes to go back to a fucking air pad and switch their loadout. Like if someone's gained air superiority and they feel like they've or even say you've got a air squad up, and that air squad all started off as air superiority. You gain air superiority. How about you keep half of them for air superiority, and then you want the others to switch to some ground attack to help with that or something. I mean, just being able to switch loadouts would help a lot, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the moment, I mean, you go to a fight with your, air squad and you kill everyone. You're all air to air. What are you gonna do? You're done at the fight. There's nothing to. So you roam. Gank squads aren't just a thing you can do. They are the thing you need to do, because you can't switch loadouts and actually switch to trying to contribute to the fight.
Yeah. And then the other small thing people could try doing is I've been doing it a lot, running Hornets more. Yay, my plug for Hornets. But
I've been doing that too.
I've been running Rotary and Hornets, and I just had one day where I was playing where I had extreme luck, and I was just hitting so many aircraft with Hornets. ESF duels with Hornets, I was winning. It was probably just a streak of luck that's never going to happen again, honestly. But I mean, it was still fun. It was really fun because after I gained that air superiority, I was going in doing these Hornet strikes on tanks, and there was one point where I even probably saved an entire assault for this TR was assaulting this one Vanny base, and 2 Mag Riders were coming to flank the Sunderer, the only spawn point there. And just before those Mag Riders got in view of that Sunderer, which was completely undefended from that angle, I put Hornets on them, and they were distracted, and I killed them, and I saved the Sunday.
Doesn't that feel fucking great though? I've been running them recently too, and if you play your cards right, you can, in the right battle, take out just an entire armor column, and just you really feel the victory there for your team.
But I didn't even have to do that. But I mean, for me, it was a very simple, small victory. I killed 2 sides that were over that Sunderer, so I gained air superiority basically with my Rotary, 1 Hornet hit. But I mean, I have the Rotary for that. And then those 2 Mag Riders come up, I've got the Hornets for that. So for me, that's my favorite multi-role setup, where I can do anything, anywhere. Yeah. My new favorite, yes.
That is awesome. That should be what's happening, where you're trying to fight for air superiority, and at that point you then transition to ground focus, and players on the ground notice that and start trying to support their air in hopes of using it to take out the enemy armor. That would be a combined arms system, which is something that needs to happen. Air can't just keep being this mini game, because it's not working. So many people have left, and Connery is unplayable right now.
It's dying. There's actually a really good post by Chicho on that Reddit thread we were commenting on it, where he was talking about how he used to be one of those pilots that would fly around all the time and main it and have fun and do all those things. And he said the original way you dealt with lock-on gang squads is you got your buddies together, you wiped them out of resources, and then for the next 15 minutes you had peace and quiet. But because of the new resource system, peace and quiet doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which
You
I
just
think to
get
an extent is good, just because it gets rid of timers. You know?
yes. I think it's good for the new player because they're constantly back in the game. I think it's bad because of gank squads and the lock-on horde, which needs to be addressed at some point with balance changes. But if we can chain pull vehicles like we are right now, because of the half-assed introduced resource system, cough,
Cough.
cough.
Cough, cough.
But no,
Cough
that
drop.
needs to be fully implemented with the ants, the ant modules for the sunders and stuff, so bases can run out of nanites and you stop gaining resources. Not sure how you address that to air though.
Air is, well, I mean, maybe that's something you work on next. Air is fighting its own battle. Air should be incentivized to fight for bases, and then the ant module would apply to air.
That would make sense. Intercepting ant modules and or protecting ant modules from airstrikes. That'd be very important.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be cool too. Could you imagine? Like some just like horde out of nowhere coming for your ant and you just small air squad. Defend it.
Yep.
But I think we're going slightly off topic with this, but if anyone else has any other suggestions or ideas how lockdowns could possibly work differently or in a more interesting and fun fashion for both parties, or at the very least just mitigated to some sort of necessary evil that isn't so powerful, feel free to email us and tell us your opinion. But we are going to move on to story time, and I think Hater's going to kick that one off.
Ooh, I am?
Ooh.
Ooh, okay. Oh, yes. Last week I did the story from basic training. But you guys made me tell my worst moment. So today, it'll be kind of my best moment, or at least the one I actually enjoyed the most. And it's probably not what you're expecting, but my favorite moment was the CBRNE. And for those who don't know, the CBRNE is an acronym. It means chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and high-yield explosives training. Basically, what that boils down to for us in basic training is it's the gas chamber, where we get tear gassed, and then you're forced to take your gas masks off and actually breathe that shit in. A weird favorite moment, wouldn't you think?
Very
yeah,
strange.
I was going to say.
Tell us more.
Yeah, I know.
Is this
but,
where you
I mean,
found out that you were immune to tear gas or something? Because other than that, I don't really see how this could be
apparently,
positive in any way.
To a small degree, yes, but I'll get to that. But I mean, the main reason I liked it was because, I mean, for me, I feel that that's an experience that I needed to experience in my lifetime. Like, I needed to actually know what it's like to have a gas mask on and see it and feel it and experience it actually working, and take it off and see what it's like without the gas mask on. I mean, I don't know. Before I went into it, I thought that was like a important life experience I should experience. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And going in, and when I actually did it, I was glad I did, even though it did suck. Tear gas isn't obviously the worst kind of chemical gas you can do, but it still really, really sucks. And okay, so when we went in there into the gas chamber, we're all in all of our chem gear and shit, masks on, everything. We've got a good seal. We go in there, they tell you, okay, you're gonna do 10 jumping jacks. Count out loud and all that. And I know that sounds like nothing, but when you're in the middle of 100-degree weather in Texas and you've got your uniform on top of that uniform, you've got all this chem gear, you're fucking hot. Like, that's an understatement almost, but I mean, you're sweating profusely and consistently. And then they tell you to do 10 jumping jacks and all that gear. And even just that, it gets your breathing, your respiratory rate up a bit, gets your heart pumping, and they want to do that because they want you to breathe in this gas.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of worked. They have you take off the hood of your chem gear, and for guys it kind of sucks because we have to shave every morning. And when I took off the hood and I exposed just my skin, I still have the mask on at this point, exposed just as my skin, and I can just feel it burning my entire chin, just everywhere I've shaved earlier that morning. And it's burning. Like, it wasn't the worst burning sensation ever, but I mean, it was a pretty unique sensation, so it was very noticeable. And then what they do is they have you take off your mask. You have to place it on your chest. You can't like hold it at your side and be coughing and all that shit into it or anything. And then you're supposed to yell out your reporting statement as loud as you can. And it's like, sir, trainee, whatever, reports as ordered. And obviously they do that right after you start breathing in the gas, so that's when it hits you. And what you're supposed to do is take a deep breath in just before you take the mask off, so you get your last breath of good air, and then you yell out with that last breath. I fucked up. I wasn't paying attention, and when he said take your masks off, I had actually breathed out, and then I took my mask off, and I realized, holy shit, I gotta take a breath in to say this. And so that's what I had to do. I took the mask off immediately, like you feel your eyes kind of tearing up. All the snot in your nose starts running like almost instantly. And it's hard to explain, but that's what happened. And so I take the breath in, and then before I can even say this reporting statement, I'm coughing. Like I couldn't even talk. The tear gas hit you pretty fucking quickly. And one guy screwed up, and he didn't keep his mask on his chest like you're supposed to. Little detail, but important. So they made us stay in there longer. So we were in there for about a minute, just coughing and breathing in all this tear gas, and it was just miserable.
Mm.
Then they have you walk out, and honestly, the second you walk out of that gas chamber, it's a lot better. And even though it's tear gas, I didn't have much trouble with my eyes. As soon as I walked out of the chamber, at least, I opened my eyes, and they said, blink a lot, get it all out. And I was just like, I don't even have to. Like, I can actually see pretty clearly. But I was coughing up a lung. I almost threw up just from the force of coughing. And then the good thing was it cleared out my sinuses, and I never felt better in terms of my sinuses. And after that day, like it cleared out all the snot that ever existed. So it was pretty crazy, but it was pretty cool. Like, yeah, it was a good experience overall in hindsight.
Huh.
So there's my story.
Interesting. Best experience. Boot camp must have really sucked. That was...
Yes.
Well, that's cool.
So
I mean,
bad,
tear gas
yeah.
is a part of, like, a lot of world events. I mean, it's good to
Yeah.
have
Definitely
an
don't
idea.
want to get tear gassed again. But I mean, it was good. It was good to experience it, Experience the bad so you know how bad it is for realsies.
Yeah.
For realsies. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have a mini story and then a slightly longer mini story. So, for the first time, I think in 6 months, I finally had command chat back on. And so, I hear Jankman, leader of Jank, over the comms, screaming about Indar excavation. Just literally the top of his lungs, like, I had to take off my headphones, and I could hear him perfectly fine from sitting down, like, beneath my desk, where I set my headphones. Because he's screaming so loud, he's just like, we need help at Indar X, oh my god, someone save it! There's 2 minutes left, the alert, there's only 4! Oh my god, we're almost doing it, Kanu!
Huh.
You can tell this guy is just drunk and high. And then this really quiet voice chimes in. He's like, guys, TR just took the archives. We need to save the archives.
The archive.
The archives. Banu archives has taken. He just kept saying archives over and over again. I don't know if he was trolling or being serious. He sounded like he was being serious. But and then Jankman rolls on and is like, fuck the archives! We need an RX, baby!
Fuck the archives.
And then I chime in on command chat and I'm just like, I can't find the archives on the map. Sorry, I can't help you. And then I sent my platoon elsewhere.
Nice.
That's about the archives, that's stupid. Anyways, my second story, the pleasure of seeing a slam poet. She's a 2-time national champion. Her name was Sierra de Mulder, perform in my town. And she had this one poem about fathers buying tampons for their daughters. And so, if anyone's not familiar with slam poetry, it's all about the spoken word, and it's actually about like current political and social kind of things, and it's all about, you know, emotion and the message and all that kind of stuff. So it's really loud and boisterous. It's not about like flowery language and stuff. It's often very crude and visceral. And so she was talking about oh god, I can't even but there was this one line. She's like, okay, don't imagine the vagina is this flowery place. It is a fucking dragon. It is a fire-breathing dragon that eats tampon bullets that later shoots out blood. Literally, the audience is we're just laughing our ass off at this point, and then she just keeps on going about how dads are so afraid, and it's like, what are you so afraid of? Are all the pretty colors gonna infect your pallid palate? Oh my god, what would you do? Your daughter is bleeding to death in the closet and you're not going to save her because you're too fucking afraid to buy the pink one?
What?
This is talking all about dad buying tampons. I just really died laughing.
Oh my god.
Fire-breathing vagina monsters that eat tampon bullets.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
As ammunition.
Seems about right.
Yep. And yeah, that's my story. Probably crude.
Huh. Eye-opening. Eye-opening into tear gas. Alright, my story is not really a story. Haters definitely taking my story swag this season. But that's going to change. The way I figured out my awesome... That came through. Holy shit. There's a Seahawks game in the other room. Okay. So, the way I would figure out my stories is by thinking of them between classes, and I'm not in school yet. I will be this week, though. But I did have something kind of funny happen earlier that I thought I would talk about. About a year or two ago, the woman you just heard screaming, my mother, bought me a t-shirt. It's like an athletic shirt. It's a Nike shirt, and it has a lot of like people on it running. They're all in like athletic gear, and they're all silhouetted white on a black shirt. And if you like walk really far away and look at the shirt, you can see that they kind of form a sentence, barely. And the sentence is, there is no finish line. And I was wearing that to work because I wear it under my uniform, so you have to wear a black shirt. And I took off my shirt when all of the guests had left, my work shirt, and revealed the t-shirt. And my boss at the time was like, oh, is that a Boston Marathon t-shirt? I just lost it. No shame. And it's now my Boston Marathon shirt.
Oh my god. It's like there. Wow.
Never forget.
I know, right? Alright, that's all I've got for that.
This is why you don't go outside and run. Just kidding. It's healthy.
Where's your bucket?
Filthy casual.
I took a really big poop before we recorded this podcast. Just thought I'd mention that.
Thank you, Ginger.
No problem.
Appreciate that so very, very much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've stuck with us this far, I want to thank you for listening to this episode. Ginger, email plug.
Email us at utrpodcast@gmail.com with thoughts about potentially some of the stuff we talked about this podcast, because we went kind of out there. Other than that, questions or topics, and we will look at them and talk about them and stuff. Thank you so much, utrpodcast@gmail.com. And remember
to keep it under the radar.
I know.
That's funny. I wonder what that was. It was like, woo!
I thought it was a siren.
No, it was, I guess, someone fucking intercepted something.
Oh, did Sherman show up to play today?
Oh, fuck you.
Oh, damn. Shots fired. Shots have indeed been fired.
And there was a guy who was wearing a shirt that said Buick, the official vehicle of the Denver Broncos. And I wanted so bad to go up to him and be like, you know what the official vehicle of the Seahawks is? A saddle. And then run the fuck away.